FTR here with me. Man, there's a big one coming up at the weekend with AEW Full Gear. AEW don't miss on pay-per-view typically. You only get a few a year, and when they come, man, do they come. And this weekend, boy, is it coming, because FTR, Young Bucks, that has been a long time in the pipeline. It feels like forever ago that you guys were just spitballing about it on Twitter, and we're all thinking, well, they're over there and they're here. Now it is finally upon us. I saw an interview that you did with a good friend of mine, Louis Dangor, and you were saying about the build and whatnot. And it's almost a two-parter for me, because it's kind of been building since you debuted, but then obviously it's accelerated the past few weeks, and now we've got this stipulation. Talk to me about how you're feeling about that, because I know you've said it wasn't maybe exactly how you would have liked.
Yeah, well, this is the match that we quit a previous company to have. This is the one we wanted. Over the last 5 years, people have talked about it. The Bucks have talked about it. We've talked about it. And this is the culmination of, both FTR and the Young Bucks' respective tag team careers and legacies. And it's very important to myself and Cash. And I said it with Louis. Wrestling is an art form, and I almost hate that because now it's become a buzzword or a buzz phrase, but wrestling is an art form. And we think that our art is the most creative art. And we think our art is the most important art in all of AEW. And we would have liked the build to have been given a little more focus. But, I think about it kind of like you were saying, maybe the powers that be think, okay, this feud is built. This is the built-in feud. They don't need too much more than what they have. But there are other things I'd like to have seen happen with the Young Bucks. Sorry about that. But I think Saturday night at Full Gear, you're going to see two tag teams with a lot of pride, two tag teams who want to build their legacy and cement their legacy as the best tag team of a generation, and they're going to give it all they've got on pay-per-view.
Yeah. Obviously, this is, like you said, this is the one. This is what we've been wanting for so long, because we're obsessed with our legacy. We're obsessed with cementing our place in history as the best tag team in the world, and we couldn't get that sitting in one spot. We knew we had to go out. We knew we had to chase it down. We knew we had to come here and have this match. And yeah, we would have loved to have had a lot of different time dedicated to it and more time to build it. But this thing's built itself over the past 6+ years. So we're always going to want more, because I've said it before, we're perfectionists, and we always have like an idea of how we want things to happen. But this thing has written itself. This thing has made itself happen, and now it's just kind of manifested in Saturday at Full Gear. It finally comes to fruition. So I'm pretty happy about that.
We work better with chips on our shoulder. So we will let the office know we got a big ass chip on our shoulder right now. And Saturday we plan on highway robbery at Full Gear.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, I think when it comes to the build, the stipulation is one thing that people are talking about, where the Young Bucks, of course, cannot go for your titles again should they lose. A lot of people are like, did it really need it? Because the dream match is there, but I guess it adds to the stakes, which adds to the drama that you guys are going to look to build on Saturday. When you're talking about the build, is it more of a time thing than the actual direction? Do you know what I'm saying? Is that what are you happy with the storylines and the characters that have kind of been portrayed, as opposed to the time that's been dedicated to it? Is it more to do with the time?
I think with the internet, again, buzzwords, character is a buzzword. I think that quote unquote characters come from yourself. And I can tell you this with 100% certainty, that the Southern 5'10" Southern badasses that you see on screen that have short fuses are us in real life. I mean, it's not any kind of character. And I can tell you, from what I've seen, the loudmouth, kind of egotistical young pricks that the Young Bucks are, that's kind of what they are in real life too. So being happy with the characters and the character and how they've been portrayed, I mean, I'm happy with that because that's us. as far as the build goes, I want more time devoted to it because I think that we're the biggest stars in the world, and we have a perception of tag team wrestling and the way we want tag team wrestling to be perceived. And we do believe, with all sincerity and with all humility that I can muster up, that this is the most important match in tag team wrestling history. Because right now they can build off of this. We don't want this to be the pinnacle of tag team wrestling. We want it to be the launching point. So that's why we wanted more time and a bit stronger build. But Saturday night, Full Gear is going to be all the build we need.
Yeah, I'll just second that. I don't need to add to that. I don't feel like.
Absolutely. I do want to ask you then, speaking about the Bucks and things that have led into this match, and you guys, obviously, you said it yourself in this interview, you want to cement the legacy. A lot of people were talking about Bucks and Page and Omega from Revolution earlier this year as either the greatest tag match this year, and I believe Meltzer even speculated ever. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I'm just quoting one guy. Where do you consider that match up there? And I guess, does it fuel you? I know you're fueled in various ways, but is it motivate you to say, no, hang on a minute, we're going to put on the greatest match?
No, because we don't compare ourselves to anybody. And as good as that match was, it was a fantastic 4-person match. I wouldn't say it was a fantastic tag match because they left out, that a lot. And there was a lot of creative liberties and creative freedom taken. I'm not knocking it. It was amazing. They did some athletic stuff that I could never even dream of. They did some really creative stuff. But at the end of the day, it is called tag team wrestling, not just team wrestling, not just 4-person in the ring wrestling. And so, yeah, it was great, but not the greatest tag match of all time by any means.
Yeah, it was a great spectacle. I'll put it like that. It was a great spectacle with 4 guys who were incredibly athletic, and to an extent, incredibly creative. But the greatest tag match, at least of this generation, is the 2 out of 3 falls match with DIY. You go back and watch that. That's emotion. That's creativity. That's what this business is all about. What it's built around. It's built around making a babyface, wanting to watch a babyface overcome an obstacle and overcome the odds. And then at the end of the day, that babyface gets its hand raised and everyone's going home crying. And that's emotion. That's what you feel. You know what I mean? My wife has no idea about professional wrestling. So she has no idea what a knife edge chop feels like, or a drop kick, or a 450. But I can tell you that my wife knows exactly what happy feels like: sad, frustration, disappointment, heartache. She knows all those emotions. And that's what, gosh, man, I'm getting,
me excited.
Yeah. I'm getting all these goosebumps. So that's what professional wrestling is all about, is emotion and feel. And that's what we want to do. We want to make people feel.
Yeah. And you don't want to do, in the process of doing that, you don't want to jeopardize what tag team wrestling is all about at its heart and at its root. And that is, like I said, following the rules. Yeah. Following the rules of tag team wrestling.
I mean,
and we did that in Toronto.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I'll come to some stellar matches you had there, because I actually saw. I'll circle back, but I've seen you guys live in the States, and it was ridiculous. Nice. But just moving on to yourselves and Omega and Page, kind of lends itself from the last topic. You had that at the last pay-per-view. Obviously a 30-minute. There was a clip. I knew I was watching a clinic, but then the crowd are like quiet. And you think maybe after the Hardy stuff, and I know that there was a temperature in the building. Did all of that factors for you guys? Did you feel any of that? Is what I'm asking during the match.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I've never wrestled in any sort of heat like that, and that includes Saudi Arabia, which I thought was the hottest place I'd ever been. I felt like that night at the pay-per-view, it was just a sauna, unreal heat. Trouble getting like oxygen into your lungs. Everybody before us that went half as much time were struggling. There was yeah. So I mean, it definitely played a factor for everybody.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like what I'm watching. I knew like I knew what was happening was good, but it just felt like the atmosphere and stuff in the building. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, did that contribute to the flow of the match?
You know what I mean? That happens, and that's what makes you a professional. That's what sets you aside from people that think they know what they're doing and people who actually know what they're doing. that's rolling with the punches. We went in there and we had a hell of a tag team match. We won the AEW World Tag Team Championships, which was our ultimate goal, the biggest match of our career. That's what we came to AEW for, to be the head of the tag team division. The temperature in Florida, the humidity was incredible. It took us 4 days to get over that match, laying up in our hotel room here. But that's what you do as professionals, and you keep your nose down and you grind and you give the fans exactly what you came there to give them.
Absolutely. And speaking of giving fans what they wanted, I am going to circle back to I saw you guys in Orlando at TakeOver. You know what match I'm about to talk about with DIY, AOP.
Authors of Pain.
Unbelievable stuff. Tearing down the house that night, man. That's my first experience of you guys live as well. So I was so excited, obviously, moving forward. And I guess the question I'm going to ask here is kind of leaving WWE to come to AEW. Because and I guess this applies to a lot of people. The work you see in NXT and those kind of matches doesn't always translate to the main roster, and it's not really the talent's fault why that might be. There's time and everything else that goes into that. Mm-hmm. Before you left WWE, was there like a part of you that looked at NXT or to Triple H, maybe say anything to you and go like, would that have been a saving grace to go back there and do your work, or was it that you needed to come and do this with the Bucks and AEW?
I don't think it was any kind of saving grace. There were talks with us and Triple H to go back to NXT, and they excuse me, they tried very hard to keep us, and it was all respectful and it was all professional, and we were very gracious to the offers that we got and to what Triple H was going to provide for us. But ultimately, we knew that our time in WWE was over at that time. We knew it was time for us to move on because money is great. And man, I am so fortunate and so lucky to take care of my beautiful wife and my perfect little 6-year-old daughter because of professional wrestling. But that's what it's because of, professional wrestling. And we owe professional wrestling something, not just because of monetary reasons, but because of what it's done for us in the past as kids, growing up into adults, and now being able to provide for ourselves and our family. And if we stayed and, with the uncertainty that would have been for the revival, we would have done a disservice to professional wrestling. And I never want to do that. We've got to give. We got to give back to professional wrestling. It's given so much to us. And the way for us to give back to professional wrestling is to come to AEW, work with the greatest tag teams in the world, head that division, and then ultimately give professional wrestling this match with the Young Bucks at Full Gear.
Yeah, once we got pulled from all of our dates on the main roster, it was down to NXT as the option. And we talked to Hunter at length. There were offers on the table. It was very tempting because we loved NXT. We loved our time there. But at the end of the day, like Dak said, we knew that our time there was done. We didn't want to go back to the past. We had done that before. We wanted to come here. We wanted to travel the world. We wanted to be doing something that makes a difference and makes an impact and changes wrestling for the better. And there we were just going to be cogs in a machine. Here you have a team of people in this brand new company that's doing things that nobody thought possible since WCW went out of business. There's been nothing even close to this. And you have this team in place here with everybody working together, and they want to better professional wrestling for the people here now and for the future, for generations of wrestlers to come. So that's what we wanted to do. If we're going to do anything with our remaining years in wrestling, it's not do something we've already done. It's come somewhere new and challenge ourselves, and at the same time, make wrestling better for everyone that's going to come after us.
And what kind of lesson would I have taught my daughter to chase money other than and not chase your legacy? Mm-hmm. Chasing our legacy, the money's going to follow. You know what I mean? And ultimately telling her that Daddy did what he wanted to do and fulfilled his dream is the ultimate goal for me as a father.
Just the final question before I circle back to AEW. And I feel like it ties in because, again, for me, yourself and the Young Bucks is great. When I was really looking forward to you guys and the Usos, right? Like in WWE. And I think what I'm about to say almost. The Usi Hot stuff, all of that, like wouldn't it have just been great if we could have just got like a classic from you and the Usos? I guess the question I'm asking here is, what really prevented that happening, and how did Usi Hot and stuff like that happen?
I think it's just I don't want to say anything that's going to sound negative, but there's the lack of focus on the tag team division causes long-term storylines to not happen a lot. So there was a plan for the Usi Hot and the back shaving, all this to play out and to pay off. And instead, everything got sidetracked because we all got involved in other storylines that were deemed more important at that time. And so the stuff that we were doing was just kind of left open-ended with us running out of the arena with our balls on fire. And then we try to come back to it a month later, and everything's already been kind of cooled off and forgotten, and we're trying to restart it cold now. And it didn't work. If things had just stayed the course and we had done the back shaving and the Usi Hot and things would have escalated and gotten serious, and we would have gotten the 25-minute match at the pay-per-view, which would have been, I think, a classic, then it would have made everything worthwhile. But instead, it was just it's short-term focus that got lost in translation.
Ultimately, we're here. Ultimately, we're in AEW now. And that's what we're focused on is AEW and making tag team wrestling what it can and should be. I would have loved to have a 25-minute classic with the Usos, and that was our dream for the main roster. But right now, our dream is to control tag team wrestling, make tag team wrestling mean something, and there's no better team to do it with, than the Young Bucks.
No, not
them around a little bit.
And you saying that, and speaking of great storylines, I have to touch on it. What you did, and the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, even. I've heard you say the word dreams as well, that you really wanted that match, and that's something you pushed for. I just thought that angle was so well done, like the turn and Tully getting involved. Just talk to me about what a thrill it is to play out that angle and to have Tully, because it looks like, we said the word characters earlier, but it looks like you guys just love being with him.
Yeah, of course we do. He's one of our heroes, and when you can say that you work with and you collaborate with your heroes, man, there's not too many people that can do that. And we got that opportunity here in AEW, and I'll be forever indebted to them for that. I was very proud of what happened with the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, unfortunately, they were in our crosshairs, and that's what happens in this business of professional wrestling, because you got to get yourself over. And as much as I love the Rock and Roll Express, I love FTR just that much more. And they just happened to be there. I was very proud of that, because it was something that I had thought of and we had planned out, and we wanted to get done. Ultimately, I would have, and still would like a match with the Rock and Roll Express. One, because it would be a bucket list, but also Cash and I are one of the very, very, very few guys in AEW and in professional wrestling that aren't afraid of the heat. We're not afraid of the internet getting upset with us. We're not afraid of the internet telling us that we're not flashy enough, or, we're not cool enough, or whatever. And the way for us to get some heat is to beat up Ricky Morton. And that's what's going to get us over. That's what's going to get our legacy over. And again, that's what's going to make us a little more money. So I'd love to have that match.
Yeah, playing off what Dak said, secretly we're kind of assholes. Don't tell anybody. But that was that moment with Rock and Roll Express and Tully. That was when we got to flip the switch for ourselves, because we had been kind of towing the line, doing things the right way before that. And once we got to spike pile drive Ricky Morton and align ourselves with Tully, that's when you get to see more of our true selves. And so everything since then, I feel like we just has clicked, and we've started hitting our stride even more so. And to be able to do that with guys that you looked up to, like before you got into wrestling, and never thought would be possible to do that on live television in the year 2020, that was cool for us.
Well, it was cool for me too, man. I think everyone felt that angle. It was great. I know we're at the 20-minute mark here, so I'll give you my final question, and that's basically like after Sunday and what we see with the Bucks. What are you guys? what are you hoping and planning for the AEW tag team division? What kind of things should fans get excited about when they're watching FTR head up a division like AEW's multi-talented tag team division?
I think ultimately, we came to AEW to be the head of not just tag team wrestling here in AEW, but the whole figurehead of tag team wrestling. We want people to think tag team wrestling, and at the same time they think of FTR. So, like you said, we have the most talented tag teams in the whole entire world in AEW. But there's some guys here that haven't even scratched the surface yet. Like the stuff with eventually, we'll defend the belts against Private Party, and that's going to be some good stuff. I talked about feeling earlier. We can make people feel a certain way for those guys. Same thing with Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. We had a match with them that I'm very, very proud of because it was completely different than what they're used to and what they've done. And the people and the reactions that they got on social media. And even, we got texts from a lot of legends like Arn about how we made Jungle Boy and how people felt for him. And that's what we want to do. But then also Top Flight, there's a tag team that got an opportunity because of us with a little tweet that I put out. And that's another team that I can't wait to work with and elevate tag team wrestling and elevate the AEW World Tag Team Championship with those guys. So I guess to wrap it all up, I've had too much coffee. To wrap that up, we look forward to taking tag teams that you may not know the full story about yet and making them explode, all the while making AEW and tag team wrestling explode.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal for us is to, obviously we want to be champions, but doing so, we feel it's our job to help all these other teams step up their game and elevate themselves to another level. Because like you said, Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, loved that match. And I thought both guys shined so bright and they did great in those roles. And they were so happy with it afterwards that we don't get along the best with those guys, but you could tell that they were happy with how they performed. And we want that for everybody. Like you said, Top Flight, Private Party, all these teams that have all this untapped potential, we want to tap into that. And we want to make sure that the AEW tag team division stays the best tag team division, but not just coast off that. We want it to coast, like to grow and to keep furthering and getting better. And that's our goal from the time we step foot in AEW to the time we leave.
And I'll tell you, any tag team listening to this, you might as well get your cardio up because we are it's synonymous with the pace that we cut in the ring. A lot of the tag teams tell us right before the match, hey, we've had to hit our cardio up because we know, we've heard, and we've seen the pace you guys cut. It's a completely different pace than every other tag team in the world or every other wrestler in the world. So get your cardio up because we're going to take you for a ride.
We may not be body guys, but I'll be damned if they're going to outwork us. So try to keep up.
I like it. FTR setting the pace in all kinds of ways in AEW, man. And I know we can trust you guys to push tag team forward and get that more time that we seek. I can't wait to see what you guys do. But especially, man, I can't wait for Sunday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Sorry. It's technically Sunday here. You understand, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'm used to this game, guys. It's 1 a.m. starts for me, all right? But thank you so much. FTR, it's been a pleasure catching up with you today. Can't wait to see you tear the house down with the Young Bucks. I have a feeling anyone listening or reading this are going to want to hold on.
Yeah, Alex, we'll give you the first post-match interview if you want with the reigning tag team champions. Just get up with us.
I'll be there, man. Don't think I won't, because I will.
All right. Thanks, dude.